So, I do want to formally welcome the audience back to the UNNI Podcast. We try not to let it go too long before we keep the conversations going. Today, we're back in action. We got Mr. Livio Harris, and man, before you go any further listening to the podcast, man, if you're not on your phone, if you're not on your PDA, laptop, whatever, and looking this man up, like, we got a real legend in the building. I need everybody to recognize right now just what this means for the podcast, what this means for me to just be able to have this conversation. We got a real legend in the building. Mr. Livio Harris.
Humbly appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Will you please share with the UNNI audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you stand for?
Okay. Yeah, my name is Livio Harris. It's for those who they want to pronounce this. It's L-I-V as in victory, I-O, Harris, Harris. Been in this business for 31 years this year. Originally from Kansas City, St. Louis, Kansas City, and I came to Hollywood not knowing anyone and didn't really have a big plan is sort of except for writing hit songs for people. I was invited to write songs for people, and that was in '89. So came out here with that expectation just to be a writer, and then it turned into a record deal with Uptown Records. Diddy, believe it or not, was my A&R. He was a 17-year-old intern, but he just had it then, so he just knew he was going to be something special. So I was became in a group called For Sure as a singer. Then that came out and it did its thing, and then from there, I ran into this young lady. I got tired of singing, so I was like, okay, I don't think I want to sing anymore. I think I want to be more behind, business.
Yeah.
So then I ran into Adina Howard. Excuses airplanes and all this. Excuses. But yeah, so I was an artist on Uptown Records. That was like Jodeci, Mary, Fathom C, Heavy D Guy. That was the label to be. That was kind of like Bad Boy in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's where Bad Boy came from. So I was an artist, and then I got tired of singing, and then met this girl by the name of Adina Howard, and discovered, managed, produced her records, and made her what she was. And at that time, believe it or not, it was more of a female R. Kelly, like R. Kelly's little sister meets, Black Madonna. So the Black Madonna side was more the way she dressed, like, the commissars and the stuff she wore on stage.
Yeah.
So people like, it's not going to work, and it's too blunt. Mary J. Blige just came out with What's the 411? She needs to be like that. I almost didn't do it, but I said, you know what, what I got to lose? So I did it, and now 28 years later, she's still relevant. She's still touring. People are still reflipping her sound, her style. Freak Like Me is the record that was big.
And
people are remaking that. And believe it or not, the Cardis and the Megan Thee Stallions and Mulattoes and Janae Aiko, those people are derived from Adina Howard's 1993 sound that we created.
Yes.
So,
history. It said history.
Yeah,
Give it to him.
So I became a manager on accident and a producer with her on accident. So I managed, produced, career, and A&R the record. So from artist to, basically, let me back up. Coming to LA, to Hollywood, to be a writer, to turn into an artist, that turned into a manager, that then became a music publisher, because from that, the publishing company in London was like, we want us to do a publishing deal with you. For those who don't know, that's when, someone does give you a bag of money to basically partner with you on your song that you write for any artist. Okay. Whatever money's made, you get half, they get half. So I did that, and then they said, we don't know anyone in America, so I became the vice president of their company. No one knew about these people, and then it became a $50 million a year company out of nowhere. CeeLo Green, Nelly, Outkast, Beyoncé stuff, Michael Jackson. So built that. From there, I left them. I was with them for 25 years, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm working for these people, not me. I'm not making the money. So I left about 4 years ago, started my own company. My cousin, Tansy B. Moore, she has a film company called Tier2 Films. She said, why don't you come and do family business and run the company with us? So now it's like all these different hats, like, manager, producer, songwriter, vice president of film and TV company. Got my own publishing company now that, we sell catalogs. From there, went into recently hologram concerts. We're trying to do Marvin Gaye this summer, So we did that. And I'm on Liquor coming out in a couple of months. So It's just I think that comes from the Russell Simmons hat. You know, Russell Simmons was a very, he was that guy. Def Jam Records. He did the Nutty Professor film. He did Def Jam Clothing. Then Diddy kind of did the same thing with Sean John Clothing and Bad Boy Records. So, and then Andre Harrell, the late great Andre Harrell, rest his peace, rest bless his soul. He was another great mentor to me. And they all come from the same school. Russell and Andre were school together, and then Puff was an understudy of Andre. So I think I'm a product of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like in a nutshell, all these. But I say all that to say that I came in just to be a writer. Now, like writer, manager, producer, filmmaker, concert, hologram concert. So you can pretty much do. I learned that you could do whatever you want to do, whatever you think in your mind. You want to be a space shuttle scientist or whatever your goal or aspirations are. Actually, you could do it. I say mine's were just. I say that was God, man, because I didn't plan any of this. It was just like, let me just take my life day by day. God's like, let me put you over here. Let me put you here. I think you look good over there. And I look up and I'm like, wow. And a lot of times, it sounds like you're bragging, but it's just real. This is what I do. So it's just kind of like, wow, even me, I'm at awe that I've accomplished all these things. And wow. And then even, just did it and didn't think about it. Just did this, did that. And then I'd say to people as well that, there's no timeline on this because I'm 57, believe it or not. I'm still partying like I'm 30, but I still go out and still party to stay in the mix of what's popping, culture-wise. But it shows you that I had success at 22 with Adina and all that, but it seems like the biggest success is coming in my 50s. So it goes to show you, like, don't be like, oh, I'm 40, so I ain't going to make it. I'm too old. No, keep pushing.
Yep.
Morgan Freeman was 50-something when he finally got his super break. So a lot of people made it late. So it just says, I say all that to say, don't trip off how old you are. I ain't made it yet, and I don't know if I'm going to give it up, because I never gave up. And and what's crazy, tomorrow, it may be something else that fall out the sky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And music and entertainment, is so interesting. You brought up so many good points that I want to make sure that I get to, just reiterate those and make sure that the audience hangs on to them. One of the things that you said, as far as like keep it pushing and age and things like that, so many people that are in the music and entertainment industry, right? I mean, it takes patience. It takes that constant hustle. And I've had conversations with folks up and coming, underground. I'm also, GTV Radio is the home of the UNNI Podcast. And so I'm surrounded by music, in this space. And what I see is that it just, you have to have that persistence, you know what I mean? And I know there's probably so many people around you that will tell you, oh, just give up, man. Oh, you too old to be doing this. But keep grinding. You know what I mean? What I hear you saying is keep grinding, because age ain't nothing but a number, right? I'm going to be doing music references too, all podcasts, right? But that hope, that motivation, that's my connection that I want to talk about today, because as you know, and as the audience knows, what we talk about on the podcast is all about just like pro-life, in the sense that we are trying to inspire each other. We're trying to tell the stories of those that have survived many different challenges, right? And have survived and thriving in life. And to me, so many people mistake the UNNI Podcast, or even my message, right? They mistake it for, oh, she's talking about mental health, or, oh, she's talking about suicide prevention. So she's talking about dark, sad, all that. No, I'm talking about life and celebrating life and thriving in life, and what it takes from all of us, whether it be support of one another or just that internal, like, we have to know, just keep grinding. What it takes to survive, because there's a lot going on right now in the world. There's a lot going on that's trying to keep us down, and us, meaning all of us. You know what I mean? Nobody's exempt. Nobody's not feeling the impact of what's going on in the world in terms of the global pandemic, with the coronavirus, with politics, with finance. I mean, everything. We're all suffering, right? So hope, having that hope, I'm always talking about that as a point of connection with this podcast. I'm talking about hope as that is privilege. Hope equals privilege, because to be able to wake up and dream and follow your dreams, that's a privilege in this country. You know what I mean? Being able to wake up, get dressed, go outside and feel safe. That's a privilege in this country. You know what I mean? So Livio, tell us, how did you take that privilege? I mean, it wasn't given to you. I doubt that it was given to you, right? So how did you take advantage and be able to take control and harness that opportunity to be able to build what you've built over the years?
Yeah, it was probably one. I just said this yesterday. I was in Tampa with a friend of mine that I was in the Marines with, and I haven't seen him in 35 years, so we finally connected. So I was like, he was like, same question. He's like, well, what motivated you to go hard like you? And I was like, I just remembered, just for me, I remember being in the Marines, and they, when you get ready to leave, they say, if you leave, you're not going to be anything. You're never going to make it in life. They try to keep you there, to do whatever they can. So I just remembered the saying, if you leave, you're never going to be nothing. You're going to be a bum. You're not going to ever make it in life. So, if you leave up out of here, and that just stuck with me. Like, I gotta prove these people wrong, man. I gotta prove these people wrong. But more importantly is, to me, those people that the more people hate, the more you figure out how to go around the hate and go through the back door. So a lot of that happened with me. Like, people like, I'm talking like friends and people damn near family that was like in position to pull me up, that just wouldn't, because they like, I don't know if it was I don't want him to be bigger than me or whatever that is. That motivated me. Like, okay, dang, why are these people hating on me? I'm the nicest guy in the world, and these are my friends that are in position of power, and they won't even give me the light of day. Right. I'm sure not just me, probably a lot of people. So I had to get creative. Like, okay, what can I do to go around all that? Or this job don't want to hire me because, or this label don't want to hire me because, for whatever reason, I figured out how to go around. I kind of figured out, like you at a party, you try and get in a party, you can't get in, you go through the back. I said, let me figure out how to go around all this, ignore the hate side of it, and just do me. Yeah. So as I started doing me, it was like, wow, it's like, I'm actually getting in these doors that I normally wouldn't get in because of the hating. And then when I look back, people are like, well, you shouldn't be offended. I'm not. You shouldn't be offended, because look at you and look at what the hater dude or dudes, what are they doing? They working a 9 to 5 and done against that at a particular label, and that's it. They're the slave to the label per se. And I'm not knocking that, because get in how you get in and take that and make it work for you to become that executive or that chairman or that CEO of whatever, your own or theirs. Right. With me, it was like, man, I want to be self-contained. I want to be own my own situation. Yeah. So when they look back, they're like, well, what are you mad about? You have, liquor and concerts, and you're managing, and you're doing movies, and you're doing television. But that guy or those guys, they're working at one label every day, 9 to 5. Every day they have to clock in 9 to 5. You wake up at 12, you wake up at 1, you flying. I've been flying all over for the last 3 months. Don't have to answer to nobody but me. So you're right. I didn't look at it that way. I won. The winner is, so, and it's just like, through all the hateration, I figured out how to swim around this and swim around that. And now it's like, wow, I am my own boss. I can wake up when I want to. I can go to work. I can not go to work. So it's like, you got 7 hats to the 1 hat. So who's winning? And then my philosophy for most people is, I say, it's the tortoise. I don't know if you ever in school may paid attention, elementary, the tortoise and the hare. Yeah. So I tell people, I love the analogy of that, because the hare is the fastest. It's the rabbit. It's fast. Yeah. The tortoise, slowest thing on earth. And guess who won the race? The tortoise. Yep. So say all that to say, the philosophy of the tortoise and hare, it's not how fast you get there, it's to get there and win. Yep. So you don't have to be the fast guy to get there to be the winner. Yep. I love that. And I love tortoise and the hare. Yeah. No, in the UNNI podcast, they recognize Tortoise and the Hare because one of our brand ambassadors, his name is Dre T. He started a clothing line called Layop, Layop, and it's at layop.com.
He always kicks us down. He's done our logos, things like that.
Oh, wow.
But it's the turtle. We call him the turtle guy because that's the emblem for him, and that's slow and steady. You know what I mean? Run your race, run at your pace. So UNNI Podcast knows exactly what you're talking about with that. So okay, now how do you? Because being your own boss, I think that with the pandemic especially, that's put a lot of people in a position to where it almost like broke chains for us. You know, we're chained to having to work for somebody else, 9 to 5, this and that. We've all had to be creative, you know, in order to survive. And so how do you look at yourself and kind of take that inventory and say, okay, this is maybe what I'm passionate about. You know, how do you know what to put, you know, what basket to put your eggs in, so to speak? You know what I mean? Like, how do you grow from that?
I mean, you're right. It's a lot. I mean, I hear more people now saying, you know, the pandemic was crazy, but it was a blessing because it forced you to get creative. Like you said, get creative, figure your own lane, figure out how to survive. It's survival. It's like, okay, I'm out of my job. Like, I know people at record companies that's like, we don't know if we're going back into, I mean, it's still getting paid, obviously, but we don't know if we're going back into June or maybe 2021. So with that being said, like record companies, they still continue to pay you, but there's a lot of jobs that don't, like restaurants or whatever.
Right.
So you have to get creative and figure out your way to survive. And I think a lot of these people are going to realize that, man, I could do my own restaurant, or I can create my own this, or I can do this. And in the end of the pandemic, it's like, it was a pandemic, it was screwed up, but I got my own. I figured I had no choice but to create my own businesses on my own lane or my own hustle. So I hear a lot of people say, man, you know, pandemic, COVID, it's bad, but shoot, I made more money in COVID than I've made in my whole life. I'm like, wow.
Right. So, okay, for you in business, did you always know about business, or how did you cultivate kind of that acumen, that knowledge to be able to build what you built? Because for me, and I'm just gonna say it like this. So I started my own outpatient behavioral health company going on 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years this June.
Wow.
And I knew it came from passion, right? Like I was a bleeding heart therapist, and I felt like, you know what? I want to be a part of suicide prevention. I know that that's my purpose. For me, while I was playing college ball, I lost a teammate to suicide. And for me, I had that vision from a very young age that I was going to be in social service. I'm a servant, you know, a servant leader. But opening up, you know, the clinic 10 years ago, I didn't know nothing about business. I had no business being in business, you know, and I struggled for a lot of the years. All 10 years has not been, you know, rosy. I struggled because it was hard for me to understand, how do you do the right things? How do you do what you are passionate about, what you love to do, but how do you make it sustainable? You know what I mean? Business is not just something that you just open up and anybody can do. So for you and your story, how did you gain all this business acumen? Where did that come from?
I think it's like you said. I think it's just more, for me, it was more, I used to like, when, you know, I like to read a lot. So I used to read and study it. I had good mentors around me, you know, Kurt Whitley, who was at the time, you know, A&R for Uptown. He's my manager. He's Mary J. Blige's manager. So I used to ear hustle and hang out with him when the rest of the guys would be like, we're going to parties to chase the girls. I was like, I'm staying back. And I used to hear him talk to Mary and how the operation of running Mary J. Blige's thing. It inspired me. So I think, and then you're right, I didn't know anything about none of the how to do movies. I don't know that. How to do publishing. I didn't know that. Publishing was like, I was winging it.
Yeah.
On the job training, learning as I go. Even managing Adina, I'm like, I don't really know how to manage, but I'm gonna fake it till I make it. So as I was managing her careers, she ended up selling, you know, 1 million albums and half a million this. I would just kind of, I don't really know nothing about it. I would read or ask questions like, I'm going to a meeting with D. Sylvia Rome, like, what I say, and what I just say this, and this is what's going to find. So I would ask questions to people who've already succeeded. So I had good mentors. And then I would just read up on stuff. And then with the film and TV, you know, that was more, I managed an actor, artist named Lil J, who was on That's So Raven, and he's on TV show called Hit the Floor. So be managing his career, I got the bug with the movie, just watching and Robert Townsend asking questions. And so then I'm like, okay, so I'm asking questions and learning as I go. But I didn't go to college for it.
Yeah.
It was just, like you said, it's just a natural thing. I just, like you said, being passionate about it. A liquor. I don't know nothing about how to start a liquor business, but I was like, let's do it. And then we started asking questions. What's next? And how much this costs to do a bottle? And what happens? What's the process with this? So then now I'm an expert at that.
Yeah.
I'm an expert at film and TV. I'm an expert at managing careers of artists. But it was definitely not went to college for it. It was just, throw them in the water and swim. Learn how to swim.
Right.
I had to wing it.
Yeah, no, consistent themes. UNNI audience, consistent themes is I'm hearing connection, mentorship. I mean, it starts with passion. It starts with the dream, right? Yeah. And then there's also this process where, I mean, you've got to sacrifice. You know what I mean? If you're going to put your energy and effort, you got to make sacrifices, and every single decision, every step that you do has to be in that direction of that ultimate goal. But who you surround yourself by, am I right? Who you surround yourself by determines how quickly and if you can make it to that point of success, whatever that means for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I had many Roman noodle nights.
Yeah.
Ramen noodle nights.
Yeah.
Many grabbing the pennies out the drawer, going to Ralph's, putting it in the penny thing to turn it into money, so it was definitely it wasn't a struggle. And a lot of my friends went back home. They went back to Kansas City. I can't do this. And I was like, man, I could either go home and sleep on my sister's couch or just wing it by any means necessary. So there were hungry nights and ramen noodle nights, and putting pennies together that I'd saved for years in a drawer to eat that night or this night. But if you're like you said, if you're passionate and you believe, it's gonna happen. It's just about the time. You can't control when, but you can make it happen. In general.
Yeah. And so in communities, right? And I mean, I want to talk about Black community for a moment too, and then all community. I think that there's a lot of things that are in common, but Black community, just for a moment. One of the things I think that we're struggling with is that whole concept of connect, in order to build. There's, like you mentioned it earlier, you were saying how some people, they almost, they don't want to give you information because they don't want you to surpass them, or, you know what I mean? It creates just that further division. And so for Black community, when I'm talking about, living the life that you want to live. And to me, that's more than just material. That's more than just financial. That goes back to what I was saying. Hope equals privilege. To have more hope, to have more opportunities, right? To be mentally fit, to be spiritually fit. In order to do those things, we have to connect. We have to link up and then build up. You know what I mean? So I appreciated what you're saying about, stay connected, mentorships, and with a mentorship relationship, there has to be like a mutual respect, right? A part of that. Because one thing I'll tell you, I've experienced it in just even my own life, where somebody wants something from you, or they want to soak up your knowledge, but there's not that level of respect there, respecting, what's been done in order to get that knowledge, what roads have been paved, to open it up for this opportunity. So mentorship, it sounds great and it sounds even easy, but it's not. You really have to do some work, right? And learn you have to understand, you have to educate yourself, right? And then have that level of respect to be able to have that type of relationship. So
and now it's so easy now because of the technology. It's like, how do I do this? Google.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Back in the day, you had to read 50, 200 pages. 150 page books, which Black people don't like to read. But it's like, but it's like now it's just like I asked somebody today, I said, yo, how much does it cost to pay? How much does it cost to pay, for example, for staff? What's the insurance thing for that? Boom, boom, send it to me in 2 seconds. I'm like, wow. So technology is everything. And to touch on your, it's not about only me, but to touch on your thing, believe it or not, there's a lot of people in the industry, and then I've had friends that has passed away due to mental health issues or suicidal because they can't. They like, wow, it's like they own it. They, got the mansion, they got the cars, they got it all, and then all of a sudden it's about to be taken away because whatever, maybe mismanagement of funds or whatever that is, or they about to lose their job, and this is what they're to keep their livelihood. They need that job, and they just, suicide, kill. Just, it happens in the industry. So that's why with me, I think too. One, I'm humble. Two, I'm from the Midwest. I was raised in the South, Memphis and Arkansas in the summer, doing the rest of the year at Kansas City school. My mom's, rest in peace, raised me well. And she raised me to not be the guy that I got a check today. I got to go get this mansion. I got to get this Ferrari. I got this Lamborghini. It's like, I was always like, live underneath my, mean. So I live in humble situations, so whether I win or lose, I still can maintain that that lifestyle of that rent or that car note or that. So that's the mentality for me, is like, I can go get the Ferrari, I can go get the 10-bedroom mansion, but do I need that stress right now?
Right.
Eventually I'm gonna move in. I'm gonna do, that's gonna be like my retirement. I retired, I made it, I did it my way. Frank Sinatra, I did it my way, right? So now I'm retired. Now here goes the house and the yachts and but right now, while I'm in the middle of the grind, I don't need to be worrying about this $10,000 a month rent, this $8,000 a month Ferrari. While I'm trying to get my grind. So I've always been raised to stay humbly wherever I'm at, apartment. Even Adina, I was like, I had a studio apartment the size of a kid. It's so small, and they're like, "Oh, she sold 2 million records, and you still live here?" Yep. Because I can go get the mansion, but I'm gonna stay here because guess what? If it all falls down, I'm still cool. Like, I can afford that. I can afford that whether I'm on top of the world or not. So I'll stay in a humble lane. But most people don't. They get the record deal, and the first thing they do is the big $100,000 gold chain, $10,000 a month rent. Why?
Right.
So I always said, if I want to get a $10,000 a month mansion, that's $120,000 a year. I have to have at least 5 times that in my account. Or 10 times that. So I can really know that I'm not going to lose it. And that's what it is. People, they get that lifestyle, they don't want to lose it. So then when it looks like, oh shoot, I'm about to lose it all, I'm about to be a bum, my friends are going to be laughing at me. Oh man, so then they just can't deal with life in their mind. They can, but in their mind, I can't deal with life. And it goes to suicide. There goes the gun to the head. There goes, and it's sad because, so I would love to. It's funny we talking about this suicidal thing because with this liquor that we're launching, most liquors have a what they call it, they have a something they give back to, whether it's the donation to homeless or donation to this. So this could be a good funds from the liquor donate to suicidal situations, and I always say mothers or fathers, single mothers, single parents, mothers that raise their kid alone, help them out, donate money to that cause. But the mental health cause, definitely that could be. Cause we was trying to figure that out. What kind of cause should we invest in with the proceeds from the liquor? That could be a good one.
Mental health is an issue, and it's a silent pandemic, right? And it's one that we haven't really seen the worst of it yet, because of the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, we've seen how that's impacted us socially and medically and all this other stuff, but the mental health impact of it all, you got people at home, you've got people in abusive situations, you've got, like you said, single mothers, single fathers that are struggling to keep food on the table, multiple kids at home going to school, so you got internet, and I mean just all of these things that are messing with our mental health. People that are drinking more or drugging more during this time to cope. So mental health, like I said, we haven't seen the worst of it yet. We still have people, fighting to get vaccines and whatnot, but ultimately, people's mental health we're going through a reckoning right now, and a lot of people are feeling, destroyed, and trying to pick up the pieces and figuring out how to survive. So I appreciate you recognizing that and looking at that as maybe some future, charitable acts, through your businesses. I'm so glad that you brought up mental health just as a subject, and of course end stages being suicidality, but mental health in the music and entertainment industry. I can only speak from what is portrayed through the media, you know what I mean? Because I'm not in music and entertainment per se, but it seems like financial security is obviously one kind of major trigger for people having some mental dis-ease right now. But also I'm wondering, so before the pandemic, you had like paparazzi and stuff, cameras all in the face and exposing people's lives, right? And now we don't see that much of that. It's almost like people are getting to be at home and being almost a little bit more like humanized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that contributing to some mental health, like escalating in mental health concerns too? Like people are actually having to live and be human and real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say that's that. I'd say, because that's what they said. They said a lot of people that are at home, they fall into the drinking thing. Because in LA, it's like super lockdown for like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 months, and it's like, just sitting in the house, like that's like prison almost.
Yeah.
So it's like sitting in the house, can't go out. It ain't like it's like I can't go out. There's nothing to do. There's no restaurants. There's nothing to do. So yeah, I mean, some people who are sitting at home going crazy. They drinking more.
Yeah.
Like you said, with me, everybody think I'm crazy. Like it's like I just got back. They're like, dude, you've been for the last 4 months. You done been to Atlanta 3 times, Memphis, Kansas City 2 times. You went to Vegas for your birthday a few weeks ago. You were Tampa for the game, and you came back today. And where you going next? So it's like
right.
I can't sit I can't do it. I can't. I mean, it's risky, but I can't just sit in the house because I may go crazy. Like
right.
Sitting in the house watching 4 walls, nothing to do, TV, same shows. It's like, what the hell? So I'll just get out and go. I travel. I've been traveling. They said, man, I'm seeing you on Instagram, dude. You partying, you are kicking it like it's New Year's every day. Like what? And 90% of the people don't got masks on. Like in Tampa, nobody had a mask on. I mean,
I heard that.
700,000 people in a club, no mask. Atlanta, same thing. But I just be cautious. I got the mask. I do my elderberry and all my other human the natural things, organic natural things that that help keep the immune system going. So I've been lucky, I guess. But I just can't. Because I know me, I'm a sane person, but shoot, if I'm just stuck in this house for 4 months, I'll probably go crazy.
Yeah. And you know what? We've been hearing a lot about that. People just being locked up, that isolation, you know what I mean? And we knew, like, so those of us in mental health, we knew before COVID that isolation is actually a sign and symptom that something is wrong, something is really wrong. And so when everybody came out, we've had these conversations in the studio at GTV Radio and then also on other podcasts where I'm like, I hate social isolation because isolation does not lead to anywhere good for people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so finding things to do to get out, you know what I mean? And if people don't have the means to travel, or if let's say they want to be extra cautious and maybe not travel, still finding things to get into, you know what I mean? That fill your cup, you know what I mean? We have to be doing that because like you said, if you just succumb to the fear and the isolation, that can mess with your mental health, and sometimes have a greater impact than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I see why you're shaking and moving. I see why you're shaking and moving. And in my mind and in my heart, I think I'm vicariously living through you to be out there. But yeah, no, everything that you're saying, man, what I'm doing is I'm kind of like flipping it in my mind and thinking about how do we relate that to mental health. And I think, another key point that you made, living beyond your means. I think that people can live beyond their means in terms of their mental health too, right?
Yeah.
People that
Yeah.
are always in somebody, they're always helping somebody else out. We call that, the codependency, right? They're cleaning up other people's messes, or there's some drama that they're always, kind of involved in. That's living beyond your means, to be able to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean, that we can really translate, and these subjects transcend race and culture. I mean, we're talking to all people. We all have an ability to be able to manage ourselves, right? Where we put our time, our efforts, and our energy. And there's so many of us that we feel like we can't afford to fill our own cup. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate you giving us that perspective, of ways that you can fill your own cup and you can continue to survive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Love it, love it. So let's kind of shift the conversation to talk about what you're doing now. I know you talked about having like the liquor label, right, and having your own line, and you've got your own recording label, right? So you broke away. So what can we expect from Mr. Livio Harris, in 2021? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, the thing that I'm very excited about is we just did me and my partner Melquan Smith. We have a company called World Connected Live, and we're doing pay-per-view. We did a deal with pay-per-view, so doing live concerts. Like we're trying to do Bad Bunny live in concert.
Yes.
But then we switched gears and we found a hologram company. So we're trying to do like Marvin Gaye, and trying to do stuff like Juice WRLD was another suicidal, not suicidal, but it wasn't suicide, it was more mental health. I think that one, And then so we're trying to do like XXXTentacion and Juice WRLD and these superstars and bring them back to life in a hologram fashion.
Yes.
And our hologram looks just as good or better than the actual person, so it's not the generic looking. It looks like, wow, this guy's Marvin Gaye's still here, whatever. So we're trying to do those kind of things. And then also the liquor, I'm excited about that. We're trying to, compete with the Ciroc of things and classiness of that. And then more of the TV and films, the movie stuff, a lot of that this year.
Nice.
TV and film projects. If you get a minute, one of our projects right now that I've got my first producer credit on is a movie called Keys to the City. And it's... you go to Hulu, or you can just Google it, and it's a great political thriller. It's like so it's called Keys to the City. That was under Tier2 Films. Again, my cousin, she's a female director, writer. She's amazing. Tansy B. Moore, and then her husband is Rick Atari. So they brought me into the fold as a vice president, because it could have been vice president of Get in the Mailroom, right? Right. No, you're coming in out the gate with some stats, like vice president of the company, and I appreciate that. So we're doing a lot of movie stuff, the liquor, live concerts, hologram concerts, and I do want to. I'm working on finish my book. I want to finish up that, because I want to leave that legacy of this book. 2 books actually. One is more about my life, and then the other one is more educational. Like it's called 20 years in 60 minutes. So I've been in the business for 31 years, but if you read this book in 60 minutes, you will learn more than the average person that took 20 years to get it together.
Okay.
So I'm giving you my jewels, my 20-something, 30 years of jewels in a 60-minute book. So if you study that, read that, you don't have to go to college. I love if that's your inspiration, do that. I love that. But you know what I hate is lately I hear people say, I went to college for 8 years, I went to college for 6 years, I got out, I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find a job that fits my description of what I studied for, and all so I hate that. So I think for me, do that if that's your inspiration. And grandma want me to go to college, do that, because that's beautiful.
Sure.
But you don't have to. So for me, it's like, read this book. How to be a manager, how to do film and TV, how to how to be that entrepreneur in 60 minutes of reading. But I'm giving you 30 years of my knowledge in a 60-minute book. So I think that's going to be dope. People are like, oh, well, I know about everything in a minute of a 60-minute book. With that I would probably took me 20-something years to figure out.
That's what's up. 20 years and 60 minutes. Love it. Definitely
Yeah.
gonna be looking for that. And Keys to the
Yeah.
City, that sounds dope as well. You know, for me, I'm brand new to music and entertainment, and I'm tiptoeing in, you know, coming from with my philanthropy. You know, we at GTV Radio, we produce kind of like the charitable songs. We do like pro social music for suicide prevention, and then with the documentary, we have this whole movement, Reach In Now. So we got the web app at reachinnow.com, and then we've got a docu-series, Reach In Now, that features the stories of survivors of various traumas, including suicide survivors, but just sharing stories, trying to inspire others to come out of the darkness, you know what I mean? And what I've learned from, like I said, tiptoeing into this industry, that it takes that persistence, you know what I mean? And it takes, it's about that connectivity, finding mentorships, like you mentioned before, and having that visibility. Because if you have the right platform, that message, you know what I mean, it can go viral. You can impact so many people, you know, at a time.
Yeah.
And so I'm loving, I guess, the role and the position that music and entertainment is taking during this time, this challenging time for the entire human race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that we can turn to music and entertainment and we can get creative, right? Creative.
Yeah.
That's the key to survival. You know, so I'm loving everything that we talked about today. I'm loving who you are, what you represent, and what you're doing to model that for us. You know, you're paving ways for us to be able to see. Yeah, stay creative, stay hungry. You know what I mean? And you can make this happen no matter how old you are, how young you are. You know, where you come from, whether or not you've been to college. You know what I mean? So I love that. Tell me, so if people from the audience want to continue to know about you, learn about you, be involved in conversations that you're involved in, how do they find you? Where are you at? What are your handles online? How do people find you?
Yeah. Yes, it's pretty simple. It's my name. So it's IG is just at Livio Harris. That's LIV as a victory IO Harris. Then Facebook is just Livio Harris.
Okay.
Twitter at Livio Harris. So everything is very simple for that. Yeah.
Cool.
And then as far as the publishing company that we have with my partners, Vincent Searcy and Eric Jackson, is called Velocity. So that's Velocity Music Consultants.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Tier2 Films. That's TIER, the number 2 films.com. You get a chance to see some of the movies we've done and what we're doing. We're trying to do, we got some really good stuff coming from that side. And then so Velocity is a way to the website you should check out. Tier2 Films, definitely check that out. And then again, you know, if you hit me on IG, you can DM me, and then if it's something that makes sense, then I'll definitely. I'm known for reaching out, and reaching back. You know,
cool.
Because you never know who's the next. You know.
Yes. I love it. And if you are one of those people that, you know, Livio's saying, do not, you know, get your first bag and go and buy $100,000 chain. I got to give a shout out to my jeweler, Frequency Jewelry, does the crystal healing and stuff like that. So so many good tips today. UNNI audience, you guys got just a wealth of information, inspiration from my man Livio Harris. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man, and sharing your story. This was an exciting one for me because, like I said, you are a living legend. You know what I mean? To come from where you came from, you wasn't supposed to make it, not by the rules, you know, the cultural rules and the American dream. That's not what it looked like for us, you know. So the fact
like Khaled said, like Khaled said, they don't want to see you win.
Yeah,
you know? DJ
no.
Khaled, they don't want to see you win, so you use that to win.
Yeah.
But and then I apologize to I don't know how this stuff sounded, but I didn't want to miss this meeting, so I jumped off a plane,
yes,
posted somewhere, anywhere to make sure it happened versus missing it. So I know it was planes flying over and all kind of crazy, but I just wanted to get it done regardless. I didn't care what. Usually it would be in the office real quiet like yours, quiet, peaceful. But I just said, look, let me get this done because by the time I get to the office, it's an hour and a half. I just got off a plane from Tampa and partying all weekend. So I just said, let me just post up. And then I didn't realize it was going to be big planes every 5 minutes. But hopefully the audio was clear enough to, get get what we were trying to accomplish here.
Audio was good, and what's even more clear is that's that mutual respect that I'm talking about. I feel the love, because for you to jump off a plane coming back from Champa Bay, that means a lot to us. That means a lot to me. That means a lot to us at the UNNI Podcast, that you would do that just to make this meeting, just to have this conversation. So the fact that you're modeling that means, for everybody that's listening, and if you know somebody that needs to hear this message today, please reach out, get these people connected, because the message today here, I mean, that was holy grail stuff right there. That's love,
right.
man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Looking to do more interviews as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, we're fam now. We're fam. So I'm about to hit you up on the DM, and definitely continue to follow you and see all your major successes. And you got all love from the UNNI Podcast, and I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, safe travels for the rest of your trip.
Shout out to Amani for making this happen.
Yes, sir. Will do. All right, man.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. All right.